folks, Mark Doody here in a nice crisp early morning in Indonesia. I have a bit of a sore throat, so I do apologize that I sound a bit but anyway, here it is, Spider-Man No Way Home. Finally got to see it. It only took me 3 weeks because the cinemas here have been packed for the last 3 weeks. You could not get in to see it, and I finally got in to see it. Not only that, I paid 5,000 rupiah to see it, which is like 20 pence. So, you know, right, let's say, is it a good movie? It's alright. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not brilliant. Everyone's saying it's the most fantastic film ever. Right, so let's do spoiler free. So the synopsis of the film basically is this. Everybody knows that Peter Parker is Peter Parker because Mysterio released the footage to Jonah Jameson, and he's released the identity of Spider-Man being Peter Parker. So then what happens is everybody's chasing Peter, saying he's a murderer for killing Mysterio, and some people are like, no, he's a superhero, we love him, and all this, right? Forgetting all the past events that have happened with the Avengers and all that, you know what I mean? So it's pretty, the story is a bit flaky at parts, you know what I mean? And they forget some of the actual things that the new Spider-Man can do. But anyway, so basically everybody knows who he is. He gets rejected from MIT. MJ, which is now called Michelle Jones. Yeah, let's not go there. And the other kid, I forget what's his name, Ned. That's it, Ned. And basically they all apply to all the colleges and they all get refused because they are associated with Spider-Man. So because they're associated with Spider-Man, they all say, no, we're refusing entry. So what happens is then they go to Doctor Strange and he creates a spell. But during this spell, obviously, Peter Parker's like, oh, well, wait, I want these to remember. I want him to remember. I want her to remember. And basically he changes the parameters of this spell. And basically it all gets really, really wrong very fast. So then it opens up different. So basically, it's over. The spell's over. He's put it in a big cube. You know what I mean? They're like the cubes in the Marvel universe. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you know why. But anyway, moving on from that. So basically, he goes about his day. Then all of a sudden, he goes to find the MIT lady that deals with the administration to plead his case, and basically then saves him, and then Dr. Octopus comes. And then I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go into it too much, but anyway, things start happening. It's gone wrong. The spell's out of control, and basically it's pulling in anybody that knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So basically that's the premise of the story, and basically he has to capture all the people that came through and basically return them back to their own multiverse, hence Spider-Man the multiverse and all that. And obviously Doctor Strange's new movie that's coming out about the multiverse. So once that's done, you know, everything's all land and glory. The comedy in this, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, people did chuckle here, so, you know, I didn't find much of it funny, but people did. There were some funny parts, I'll give it that. But for me, right, everybody knows I hate Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think his Spider-Man is crap. Because basically Spider-Man was about using his own smarts, and he was a smart guy, and basically there is a point in the film where you realise how crap Tom Holland is as Spider-Man, because obviously he has all nanobots, he has AI, he has everything to do everything for him, while the other Spider-Mans use their own smarts and they do the stuff themselves, which they actually do later on in the film. So anyway, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, terrible. Zendaya, or whatever her name is, oh, she's an awful Mary Jane, and it's basically because they tried to go woke with Spider-Man, and this is the first Spider-Man where they didn't try and, sorry, I got mosquitoes, so I've got to smack myself all the time. It's the problem here, you always get bit. But anyway, so basically, you know, The only decent character I actually like out of like MJ, Spider-Man and Ned is actually Ned. I like Ned. He's the only real funny kind of character that they have, the only decent kind of addition to the inner circle. The Aunt May bit, oh Jesus. But anyway, right, let's get into the spoilers, because this thing is, this proves the point. What makes this a good film is the fact they had to bring in the old villains. The old villains, they had to bring them in, the old characters, the old Spider-Man. So Tobey, I didn't expect Tobey Maguire to be in this, but he was, and Jesus as he aged. But then again, the original Spider-Man was like, what, 20 years ago, so, you know, times change, you know what I mean? But anyway, the only thing that makes this film good is the fact they had to use the old villains because they're decent villains, and the old Spider-Man because they were good Spider-Men. And that was the only reason, because what's his name? Is it Ben Garfield, I think his name is? They never give him a chance. They should have made an Amazing Spider-Man 3. They should have. They shouldn't have put Tom Holland in it. But it is what it is. This is what we got, and this is what we've got to deal with. But anyway, as a whole, right, the film's awful. Up until basically the original Spider-Mans come through, and then basically it shows, because basically what Tom Holland wants to do is cure everybody. So in order to do that, he needs to make these serums, because they have a magical bullshit machine that basically can make anything they want. Yeah, it's Marvel. This is how the level of writing that we have nowadays is, that basically if they ain't going back in time, then it's going into a multiverse to fix everything, because everything's just crap, because that's how bad it is at the moment, because the MCU is terrible, you know what I mean? After kind of Endgame and Infinity War, and again, Endgame for me wasn't a very good film. I thought it was terrible. It was extremely woke at the end, and it was just like, ugh. And they've kind of glazed over. I mean, Black Widow, terrible. Shang-Chi is a pile of dog poo. I mean, it's really bad, Shang-Chi, but we're not talking about Shang-Chi today. But anyway, sorry, we've got the sellers walking up and down selling stuff. But anyway, that's why you can hear the shouting, because they come up and down the streets selling like chicken and different like puddings and stuff. But anyway, the only thing that made Spider-Man any good is the fact they had to bring the old ones in. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a line as well. Aunt May basically used the line, with great power comes great responsibility. So they try to chop out the whole Uncle Ben thing, which is a massive arc for Spider-Man from the original source, and it's like, why? But anyway, in this one, Aunt May dies. So, you know, like I said, spoilers, you know what I mean? But for me, I hope this is the last Spider-Man with Tom Holland in it. I really do hope that, because the first, second, and this film, Tom Holland as Spider-Man has always been in the back seat. You know what I mean? The first film, Iron Man had to come and fix everything. The second film, Mysterio did everything up until the end, and then basically the drones did the work. You know what I mean? And basically in this one, they had to get Tobey Maguire and Ben Garfield to do the work. You know what I mean? There's a scene where they're making all the cures, and Tobey and Ben are like, right, let's get on this. We'll get this done. And they're using their genius smarts, because they're smart guys, to do the work. And then you've got Tom Holland just kind of lingering around in the background saying, watch the computer, I'll do the computer part. You know what I mean? Because he's useless. Let's be honest. I mean, Tom Holland's kind of Spider-Man arc is awful. He's got no real story. And there's a scene where they're basically all the Spider-Men are crying. Even my lady looked at me and said, why are they all crying? What's going on? You know what I mean? And even I said that, you know what I mean? I looked at her and said, yeah, it's Marvel for you. You know what I mean? You got to make the men look like they're crying like little girls. You know what I mean? That's basically what it is nowadays. But anyway, yeah, I mean, as well, the villains, right? The villains were... It's weird, because the villains chop and change which side they're on for plot conveniences. Alright, the Sandman ends up being good at first, and then he goes bad, and then Dr. Octopus is bad, and then he ends up being good, just to move the plot along, you know what I mean? Oh, it's too powerful, no, it's, you know. I mean, Electro, they completely changed his character. Remember Electro? He was like a kind of a geeky, kind of, nobody likes me, I'm kind of invisible, and now he's just like, yeah, I'm a cool dude, I'm this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, nah, that wasn't what Electro was like. He was just a geeky guy. He was a nice, geeky guy. Well, why have you completely changed his character? Alright, he's got all the Electro stuff in him, but he wasn't kind of that bad of a character, you know what I mean? So why they've changed all this, I don't know. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, this is a hard one to rate because it's I mean, let's rate it by the original Spider-Man and Tom Holland in this film, right? So Tom Holland, he's like, say out of 10 being the best, he's like a 4, you know what I mean? He's below average, he's useless in basically the other Spider-Man, because basically Tom Holland just makes mistake after mistake after mistake, and that's all he does in all of his films. He's just stupid, makes mistakes and ruins everything, and then creates problems for himself. And it's like, why did you do that? Why did you do this? What was the point in that? You know what I mean? And then basically, you know, the original Spider-Man, they came in and they were the original Spider-Man. They did what, this is what we do, as they keep on saying all the way through the film, this is what we do, you know what I mean? And then basically you can tell the massive difference. Do I want to see Tom Holland as Spider-Man again? No, I don't. I really don't. He's awful. Is this a good movie? It's the best Marvel movie this year. Let's put it this way. I mean, the Eternals I refuse to watch because that's just, oh, you know what I mean? I absolutely refuse to watch that. Shang-Chi was an absolute writer's bloody nightmare because it's how many magical bullshit can you put into one film, and it's just ruined any, like the Mandarin was ruined and it was just a shockingly bad film. Black Widow is shockingly bad, you know what I mean? And it says it all with Marvel. I mean, you know, we've got some good films coming out this year, you know, so hopefully 2022 is a better year, and I hope you all had a very good new year yourselves. But anyway, is it worth watching? Yeah, it's worth watching. If you want to go and see it, go and see it. I mean, it's made over $1 billion already in the box office, so it goes to show people want to see this. And it shows it's a good movie, and it shows, you know, there are woke parts in it, but they've toned it down, and it shows that you go woke, you go broke, and it's simple as that, you know what I mean? And, you know, at least this Spider-Man gave fan service to the fans, and it achieved it. And it's as simple as that. It achieved what it set out to do, and I hope they leave it there. Please don't bring Tom Holland back. And, you know, and basically right at the end, what happens is basically they do they do the spell again where everybody forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but they forget that Peter Parker entirely. Everybody forgets about him. So it's like, I don't really get why you did that, but if that ends it there, that ends it there, and I'm happy for that, because Tom Holland for me was a seriously bad Spider-Man. He was funny, he was goofy, don't get me wrong. The story for all the others, you know, the 3 films he's done has been pretty meh. The first film was kind of awful because it was basically Iron Man's film. Another film with Iron Man that he did the work. The second film was all Mysterio doing all the work until he went bad, and then again it's basically everybody else pitched in to finish it off. And then in the third one he had to get the original Spider-Man to finish everything else, you know what I mean? But again, the ending kind of didn't make any sense for me, but it's over now. It's a decent film. Go and see it if you haven't seen it. I haven't made any recommendations so far with movie reviews that I've done, but this one is worth a watch. You know what I mean? You won't be disappointed. You will be entertained for the 2.5 hours that it's on. And let's give it out of a 5. So a 5, the Doody rating. It's a tough one. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because it's not fantastic. It's really not, and everyone's like, this is the bestest film ever. It's really not. It's just a decent film, which we don't have anymore. You want to watch a decent film, go and watch Free Guy. That's a decent film, you know what I mean? It's good, you know what I mean? I'd give that a 4. But anyway, this ain't about that, this is about the Spider-Man. So anyway, that's why I'm going to go with that. If you want to see it, go and see it. It's worth a watch. You'll be entertained. And hopefully this is the end of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So anyway, please like, share and subscribe if you like watching the video. If you watched it all the way through this far, thank you for watching. And stay safe, everybody. And God bless. Ta-ra.